Beers with Chad.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chad Wesley Smith here. Beers with Chad. It was a great weekend of sports. We had the UFC Fight Night debuting on ESPN Plus out there in Brooklyn with a super fight between Dillishaw and Cejudo, and that's where we'll start today. I was up in the Bay Area all weekend, so I didn't get to watch as much moment by moment of all this stuff as I'd like to, as I was doing some consulting work, recording some podcasts, coaching a clinic. So it was actually very convenient that this ESPN Plus came about as it did, because as I was out, I could watch on my phone and get some quick clips there, and I've watched a lot of the recaps of everything. That Paige Van Zandt win over Ostovich. Fun to see her as someone who trains at, I train at Gracie Barra headquarters, and she's at Gracie Barra Portland. To see her finish with some jiu-jitsu with the armbar there, that was cool to see, and battle for hottest UFC girl in the Greg Hardy fight. For him to be disqualified, I've heard most people saying loss, and it seemed like they announced Alan Crowder as the winner, but on the UFC website right now it lists it as a draw. But either way, a lot of people might get the benefit of the doubt. Oh, it's only his third fight, and he knees a downed opponent in the head, and they may give that relatively new fighter the benefit of the doubt. I think it's kind of tough, given Greg Hardy's past, to give him the benefit of the doubt as, oh, it was just a mistake, that it wasn't a malicious thing done by kind of a bad guy. But what was impressive about Greg Hardy, malicious intent aside in that fight against Crowder, is he hadn't had a fight go past the third minute, and this one, he got into the second round and he looked good. He didn't look flustered. He didn't look gassed. So it'll be interesting to see as a truly elite athlete, and I think there's more and more elite athletes coming in to MMA, but still going to be hard pressed to find someone on the level of Greg Hardy, all-pro defensive end. And then in the flyweight title bout, the super fight between Cejudo and TJ Dillishaw, I was rooting hard for TJ Dillishaw, and my rooting didn't get to last very long. Cejudo finishing the fight in 32 seconds by a referee stoppage on punches, and there was so much talk about Dillishaw and his weight cut coming into the event. I had seen him several times per week there at Gracie Barra headquarters as he works with our coach Philippe De La Monica and his main coach Sensei Dwayne Ludwig, and it's remarkable to watch his training. We get to see TJ, we get to see Cub Swanson, Rafa dos Anjos, and all of those guys are amazing to watch because they just got incredible gas tank. They're in there for 2 hours straight, just banging away, working hard at an incredible pace. And talking to Professor Philippe, talking to Coach Ludwig, everything sounded like it's going great with TJ's weight cut. And I know that he was even at weight the evening before the weigh-in. So let's say about maybe 12 hours, 10 hours before the weigh-in, weighed in before Cejudo, about 35 minutes before Cejudo, and of course looked very thin, but didn't seem to lack energy. It wasn't like they had to carry him up there or carry him off the scale. Tough weight cuts is a part of what these guys do. But when he got in the octagon, and I've heard Kenny Florian say this, I've heard multiple people, and as I watched it, granted I was watching through the ESPN Plus phone on my app, or through the ESPN Plus app on my phone, it did seem that he was still very thin, and it was probably maybe 135, 137 pounds when he really stepped into the ring. I don't know an exact number there, but seemed so much thinner than Cejudo. Granted, he's a couple inches taller, but what really stood out to me was the first knockdown or takedown that Cejudo had on TJ wasn't a punch or a kick or a single leg or a double leg. He just pushed him down. And seemed to be so much stronger than TJ there. And I know TJ had talked about that he was still setting PRs in the weight room in the last week or so leading up to competition. I don't think that he wasn't ready, and I don't think that a 32-second fight, particularly ending in the way it did with a bit of a controversial stoppage, is indicative that Cejudo, 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 is going to beat TJ Dillishaw. I think they're going to have a rematch, and I'm interested to see what that was. But in some aspect of the weight cutting process and maybe the recomposition process, they may have faced some problems there. Even though he seemed to make the weight fairly easily, and being at weight 10 or 12 hours beforehand indicates that yes, he did make it easily, but being at weight for several hours beforehand is not necessarily a positive thing. Yes, it can make the last 10 or 12 hours less stressful. You get to eat a little bit as your body's still losing weight, even if you're not actively cutting at that point. It's less stressful, certainly, but as we've seen with our weightlifters at Juggernaut, it may not be the best thing. We have lifter Alyssa Ritchie, national champion, world team member in the 49 kilo class. Now the second smallest weight class for women's lifters, who has to really work hard to manage her diet, to cut weight. And we found that she seems to be much more successful when it is seemingly a harder weight cut, even if she's getting in the sauna or steam room doing all that stuff, to right up to the minute. She wakes up the day of competition still a kilo and a half overweight, and has to get in the sauna and spit and do all that stuff to get that last little bit of weight off, go straight from the sauna to the weigh-in, step on the scale, and immediately begin rehydration and recomping. Meaning that she ends up being 49 kilos or 48.99 kilos for like 5 or 10 minutes, not for 5 to 10 hours. So the less time the athlete can spend at that very, very low body weight, that very depleted feeling, the better it's going to be. So making weight the night prior, as I understood from interviews and Instagram live videos and everything, it seemed that TJ was at weight the evening prior to the weigh-in, may have actually been a detriment to him, because he had to spend 10 or 12 hours at that exceptionally low body weight of 125 pounds before being able to start the recomp. I know with Alyssa, when she has a longer time, like where she wakes up underweight or at weight, and has a longer time at 49 kilos rather than her normal walking around body weight of 50.5-ish, 51 kilos, she actually has a harder time recomping. Her body doesn't quite want to hold the water the same way, because when you get straight out of the sauna, your body's kind of starving for that water. But if you've been there for several hours or even half a day, potentially in this case with TJ, your body is almost acclimating to it, kind of like going into starvation mode, and not craving that water and electrolytes and everything quite the same way. I'm not on the inside of what they're doing weight cut wise there, but just as an outside observer for something I think may have happened of him being at weight several hours, if not 10 or 12 hours before the weigh-in, could have potentially been a detriment to the recomp process and how he felt getting in the ring. With that said, congratulations to Henry Cejudo, who came out very aggressive, cut TJ off across the ring, attacked right away, seemed to have no hesitation in that. Now the stoppage did seem to be a bit early. TJ certainly seemed to be still intelligently defending himself. I know Dana White and many others have shared this opinion that, was it likely the way things looked that they were going there? Was it likely that TJ turns things around and wins this fight? No, of course it didn't look like that. But even letting it go, 10, 15 more seconds or a couple more punches, because it did seem like, maybe TJ could have grabbed a leg on a single or something there, and it doesn't take a lot for everything to flip, particularly with powerful, talented athletes like that. So it probably should have gone a little bit longer. I think that they'll have a rematch. I don't think that the rematch should be immediate. If they want to keep the 125s, Benavidez versus Cejudo at 125 seems like a good matchup. Maybe give TJ a fight at 135. They've got a good 135 matchup coming up. Give him the winner of that. If both guys are still the champion, 4 or 5 months from now, then let's go ahead and do it again, whether it's at 135 like Cejudo wants or 125 again like TJ wants. That will remain to be seen. But a fun night, some good fights on there. And for the people who are complaining or doubting the UFC's decision to move to ESPN and be on ESPN Plus, I saw that looked like there was 580,000 new subscriptions to ESPN Plus on Friday and Saturday. So it seemed to be a successful move for them and a good move for ESPN. Granted, they give you a 7-day free trial, but you know how those 7-day free trials are. They're kind of tricky to get out of. Moving on to the NFL and Sunday. My Los Angeles Rams going to the Super Bowl, though it was not without controversy, of course. So I was coaching a clinic all day Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I'm watching seeing the game cast on my phone, looking at squats, coaching bench presses, looking at the game cast, and trying to stay as up to date as I can. And man, they had me pretty worried at the start there, getting down 13-0. Though as rough as the start of the game was, with interception and 3 and out, to hold the Saints to some field goals there were huge, and I think proved to be the difference in the game. Once the second quarter came, the Rams started to get on track. They started to run the ball more effectively. 2 weeks in a row now, the Rams running game has been certainly not as good as last week, but good enough. But their run defense, which struggled all year, was fantastic, holding the Saints to 40-some yards rushing with Kamara and Ingram. So that was really impressive, and that's something that they're gonna need against the Patriots, who are running the ball so physically. Now, to get to the non-call of the Nickel Roby-Coleman pass interference, it was pass interference. Nickel Roby-Coleman says it was pass interference himself. The NFL said it was pass interference after the fact. But that was not the difference in the game. That, when a call happens late in the game, people are going to say that it's so much more significant. But the Saints did not lose the game because of that, any more than the missed face mask on Jared Goff's scramble. That didn't get called. That could have been equally a difference in the game. Todd Gurley tipping that ball up in the air and it getting intercepted on the Rams' own 20 could have been the difference in the game. There's always going to be missed holding calls, borderline roughing the passer, pass interference, all that stuff. When it happens late and it happens to your team, it's tough. I'm sure if I was a Saints fan, I'd probably be singing a different tune here. But they also mismanaged the clock. They also couldn't run the ball for shit. They had the ball and they had the ball first in overtime, and in the next game we're going to talk about, the Chiefs-Patriots game, everyone's complaining, both teams should have a shot every time, so it's just not the first team that gets the ball wins. Well, they had the ball first and they still didn't win. There's plenty of other opportunities, so while that was a very bad call, it happening so late in the game, I think makes it that much more painful for the fans. When you look at that other angle of it, it is very bang, and there's 2 refs standing right there, and it doesn't look like either of them even reach for the flag. So if it was one ref, okay, of course they're not gonna call it. But 2 guys standing right there, staring right at the play, neither of them reach for the flag. Bad calls happen in every game. Unfortunate for Saints fans that it happened at that point late in the game. But I think as a Rams fan, I'm very excited to see the play of the run defense as a whole, particularly Ndamukong Suh, who hadn't had a great season, but has had a great last 2 games. And if he continues that, Aaron Donald continues his always great play into the playoffs, or into the Super Bowl now with a very strong Patriots running attack that they'll be up against, that can be one of the keys for a potential Rams victory. Jared Goff, as rough as the first quarter looked, he showed a lot of resilience, a lot of patience, a lot of mental and physical toughness throughout the game to lead the Rams back to victory. Now, Todd Gurley was might as well not been there. The chances that we're saying that after the Super Bowl, I think are very slim. Todd Gurley is one of, if not the best running back in the NFL, one of the best offensive players in the NFL, a great competitor, and I have no doubt that with next week, with the extra week to prepare, he's going to show up to the Super Bowl healthy as part of a very formidable Rams rushing attack, 1-2 punch with the new bus C.J. Anderson in there, and I'm excited about the Super Bowl for the Rams. Moving on to the the Chiefs and Patriots. Another game where the Patriots are getting up early. They're up 14-0. Kansas City shut out in the first half for the first time all year with that prolific offense. And it kind of seemed for a minute like, wow, is this about to turn into another ass whooping like it was last week with the Chargers? New England is running the ball so effectively. Tom Brady gets rid of the ball so quickly that even the Chiefs, number one in the NFL in sacks, didn't record a single sack, barely even a hurry or a knockdown or a hit on Brady or anything, while New England's defense is playing very well. But as well as they are playing, they did give up 24 points in the fourth quarter, 31 in the second half, and if it was not for Dee Ford lining up offsides, it would have been the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. So, these small mistakes, bad call, lining up in the neutral zone, it's tough. But as I talked about last week, the Patriots' adaptability, their savvy, how smart their players are, it seems that it is very rarely they who are making that late mistake that seems so costly. I was watching this game in the end of this game, about the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime in the Oakland airport last night, waiting to fly home. Special treat there was that Jack Clark, head rugby coach for the California Golden Bears, Jack Clark, all that is man, walked up. He had just landed, so we watched overtime together. He's one of my heroes, one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. Check out our Jug Life episode with Jack Clark. So that was a special treat, and he was rooting for the Patriots as he does some leadership development work with them. And there might have been about one other Patriots fan in the whole Oakland airport. So if you got a bunch of Raiders fans and they're actually rooting for the Chiefs, they still really hate the Patriots from the Tuck rule. And I was a bit indifferent here. I guess I would have rather played as a Rams fan, would rather play the Chiefs. And it's interesting to see a new team, but I also have a great appreciation for the excellence of the Patriots, and Tom Brady, for 41 years old, seems as motivated, if not more motivated, than he did the last time the Rams and Chiefs played, or the Rams and Patriots played in the Super Bowl back in 2001 when all of this began. To hear him talk to Chris Hogan after the game, saying, I'm too old, you're too slow, we got no skill players, we've got no defense, but they're still fucking here. They're still fucking going to the Super Bowl again for the third straight time, the 9th time of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's reign over the AFC. Brady was just phenomenal again, efficient. They're running the ball great with Sony Michel, and they make plays when you've got to make plays. When the Chiefs scored to take the lead with left 2:03 on the clock, a couple random guys on there watching it with us said it's too much time. I mean, you can't give Brady the ball with 2 minutes left and a chance to win the game, because he's going to do it. And he did, and then to come back and kick that field goal. Patrick Mahomes, phenomenal, cool under pressure. Going to be exciting to watch him for the next decade and a half do what he does and just continue to grow as a player. But New England has a remarkable, unmeasurable way to just win, to get it done, and that it's going to be a tough game. I know it came out originally as a pick'em. New England now 2.5 point favorites over the Rams, We'll talk more about the Super Bowl, my thoughts on that as we go. But congratulations to my friends Ted Rath, Eddie Greer there on the Rams strength and conditioning staff, the whole Rams organization, on their way to the Super Bowl. Went all in this year with all the free agent signings and the trades and everything, so it's exciting to see that pay off, exciting to have an LA team in the Super Bowl, and I'm happy to cheer them on. Congratulations to the Patriots and their phenomenal organization as they just continue to adapt, to innovate, to win with smart football, with highly adaptive players. I heard one report that the Patriots put in 8 new plays the morning of the game in the ballroom at the hotel, that they only walked through them, and that they ran 5 of them in the game, and they all worked. If that story is true, that's about as Patriots a story as you could have, because that's what they are. Is they're innovators. They're guys who are just so football savvy and high football IQs that they make those smart plays. They don't make the mistakes, like lining up in the neutral zone on a key play that would have ended the game with that interception. So love them or hate them, I think you have to appreciate their excellence. I've always really hated the Patriots. A lot of that stems from going to when I was going to school at Berkeley. We had several guys on the team who were from Rhode Island, and they were all diehard Patriots fans, because New England area, and obviously Rhode Island doesn't have anything cool on its own to latch onto. And during that time, the Patriots won, the Red Sox won, and the Celtics won. And these cocksuckers were just miserable to listen to. And it really soured me against the Patriots. But now, maybe I'm getting old, I'm getting soft, but I appreciate Brady. I appreciate what they do. It's really remarkable. Going to be a very motivated Patriots team to go in there, and maybe this is the swan song for Brady. I mean, they win the Super Bowl. If the Patriots win the Super Bowl, I couldn't imagine, if I was him, a better ending to a career than riding off to the sunset after that. But we'll see. Super competitive guy. I'm excited to watch, and we'll be talking more about it in the days and weeks to come. This was Beers with Chad. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, give me a 5-star review on iTunes. Always appreciate that. We'll see you next time.